And when I was looking for different events of the year for writing things for every event of the year, I realized that there were actually two things that actually happened on April 4th. Not only Hug a News Person's Day, but also Victims of Violence Holy, WHOLLY or HOLY Day. So I thought I'd read this short poem that is also for April 4th, for Victims of Violence Holy Day. And it's called Victims of Violence for Lending a Hand. Working as an acquaintance rate workshop facilitator for years, I designed flyers and brochures and newspaper advertisements to spread the word and to help women who have been suffering because of men who use sex as a weapon violently against them. And some would then try to defile my name for this, writing slanderous things about me in public bathrooms. But their petty comments were nothing compared to the violence men commit against women daily, so I had no problem with abusers calling out someone for non-violently fighting back. When I heard that yesterday was Victims of Violence Holy Day, I absentmindedly thought that this was a day to give women and all people some respect that they deserve so that they can be whole again after battling violence in relationships, in family, in sex. But then I thought about the date for Victims of Violence Holy Day more, and realized that April 5th was the day that Martin Luther King was actually shot and killed. Then I realized this date was for more than honoring the victims and the survivors, but it's also to remind us that those who fight for change can be hurt in the process too. The death of this activist reminds us that we all have that dream of nonviolence and equality between genders and races, and we should all help not only the ones who have suffered this wrath, but also the people who were attacked and defiled because they care. For people who picket on the streets, for people who write for change, for people who counsel the abused, for people who lend a hand or a hug. This fight is for all of us, and we love you for what you do. Aw, I guess. Well, it's hard when there are so many injustices you see in the world, and what do you do? What can you do, and what can you give? So I thought that it would be very appropriate to not write about the day that Martin Luther King was shot, because that was April 5th, but actually April 5th is actually also First Contact Day. First Contact Day. So, I have this piece on here. I might as well. Yeah, we'll do this one. This is called Red Matter, because on April 5th, 2063, the first contact between humans and the aliens occurred when the Vulcan ship Diplana had landed on Earth in Star Trek. So that's First Contact Day, April 5th. What? Yeah, holy crap, I'm going to be writing something about Star Trek and sci-fi stuff. Get a lot of that. So this is called Red Matter. Try to understand everything in the universe. I dare you. Even the science geeks at every high-tech lab in the world can't explain how matter can function the way it does in our universe. The only way they can explain it all is by making up this invisible stuff. To only guess its properties by seeing how it affects everything around it. Sounds crazy, no? Well, you might be right, but at some point in the game, when you've done all the experiments you can think of, it's then time to start coming up with theories, like the Big Bang Theory. When you look for even more evidence to support these theories, and that's what they've done, the Big Bang Theory starts to look less and less like a theory. Well, it has to be a theory. No one was actually there when the universe started. But as those science geeks collect more and more evidence, we start thinking of the Big Bang Theory as probably the closest thing to the truth. Well, those scientists have been at it again. They plot stars, galaxies, and they see everything speeding away. And they think, wait a minute, even though gravity is weak, our universe shouldn't be flying apart. It makes no sense. So, the only thing they can come up with is a theory to explain it, and that there is some invisible matter driving everything apart. And one scientist happened to say the words, dark matter, and although the phrase makes no sense, it stuck. A bunch of things we can't explain, let's lump them into this elusive dark matter and even dark energies. But what if this elusive darkness yielded something so red, fiery hot, that instead of making our universe fall apart, it crammed all that energy into a black hole? Let's come up with a term. Let's call this hot stuff red matter. Ignite this stuff and watch it turn whatever it touches into a black hole. I mean, one drop of this stuff could be enough to collapse a star or consume planets. You know, this might be the cool part of being a scientist. When you've learned all you can with what technology you have, you come up with theories and look for evidence to support these theories. And who knows? Maybe this stuff was created by a species we've never found, like an intelligent Vulcan race who relied on logic to accomplish so much. Maybe it was created by a rare isotope of lithium. Let's call it decalithium. And this red matter was first used to collapse a star that was about to go supernova into a quantum singularity, or a black hole. You see, anything is possible when it comes to theories. So, be like that Vulcan mind you imagine. Logically, look for solutions, and you'll be surprised at what you can discover. So there you go. Red matter. I can't believe I pulled that one off, but there you go. All right. There's something else that happened on April 5th that I bothered to write about. And that was not the day that Martin Luther King Jr. died, but it's also the day that Kurt Cobain died. True. He was 27, and it was on April 5th. And so I have this bit of a poem. It was verse 2 of 3 of a poem, I Never Took a Life Until I Took My Own. This section is the martyr. I never took a life until I took my own. I never had the power to pull people in, to make people react. But when I decided it was my time, boy, I left a legacy behind. I became a hero, and oh, the masses loved me then. They scratched my name into their arms with a pen, a knife, or a fountain pen. They cried in my honor. They went to my gravestone, then left roses, scratched crosses on my tombstone, drank with me, and left half-empty flasks on Saturday nights. But it's funny how they only loved me, held me as their idol, after I slain myself. After I was gone. Alright, we're going to have to go with a more fun piece, and that'll be the end of the segment for you. This is actually written for National Beer Day, which is on April 7th. And this is called, quote-unquote, holiday for us beer drinkers. Back in 1920, the U.S. passed the 18th Amendment that outlawed the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages, but not the drinking of alcohol. After 13 years, President Franklin Roosevelt in March of 33 passed an act that said beer with up to 3.2% alcohol could be sold, and said, "I think this would be a good time for a beer." Prohibition was later repealed with the 21st Amendment, but in 33, all they could say was yippee skippy for April 7th, because that was the day when the law went into effect that beer sales. People waited at breweries and taverns the night before beer became legal for hours to drink beer legally again. On National Beer Day, I sit here in a local brewery drinking beer with more than twice the alcohol content of what they allowed back in 33, laughing at the reason National Beer Day actually exists. One friend, here's the reason, one friend told another to start a Facebook page for this day, and the page was seen by the Colorado Beer Examiner. So they kept spreading this on social media outlets until the beer drinking app Untapped made a badge for National Beer Day for people in the app that checked a beer into the app on April 7th. Eventually, elected officials even recognized National Beer Day in 2017. I think beer should have a holiday. Beer's been around for 6,000 years, since Sumerians drank beer, though through a straw, followed by Babylonians making 20 beers. Egyptians, Greeks, Romans made it. Even the Catholic Church brewed beer once, which makes sense since saints sometimes became saints after fasting for weeks to have visions while only consuming alcohol. Germanic groups also joined in making my favorite beers, so it's cool that the 1516 beer purity law, actually the German Reinheitsgebot, oh yeah, awesome, said that beer was only made with water, hops, barley, and wheat, and yeast. I can even sit here at my local brewery with my local Imperial Hefeweizen under their sign, declaring water, malt, hops, yeast for their essential beer quintessence. Oh, that's a riot. So yeah, although it is new, this holiday exists because Americans were so inept in the 20s and that they forbid the selling of beer or liquor, which is my cue to fondly reflect on my hometown with tunnels under the Green Mill bar to allow their speakeasy and possibly the mafia across during Prohibition to avoid the law, which still makes me smile to this day. So why not celebrate on this day, a day now known because two friends spread this word on social media? So just get a good beer in your hands and join in the celebration. The funniest thing right now is I'm hearing noise over there, and that is because John is over there making a beer. He's making a beer right now that is the recreation of the chocolate bonbon beer that he had made when we were dating. And it was the 5700 for the wedding date. And he's over there, he's laughing because he's got his arms up in the air, and we're doing it again. It's the 5720, and that's a noise. After I'm reading to you a thing for beer, National Beer Day, I'm hearing the noises for making beer in the background. So if you haven't had one at home, you might want to enjoy one before I come up with more poetry to share with you guys. Thanks.